All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, and you know what that means. Time to dive deeper into the Wednesday wisdom, or the wisdom of the lost pharaohs. The wisdom of the ages, ladies and gentlemen. Hermes Trismegistus and the Corpus Hermeticum, Hermetics. Original manuscript, 3rd century AD. This is a new edition from 2015, edited by Tarl Warwick. 2015, that's almost a decade ago. Ladies and gentlemen, just a couple more years, actually, just another month and a year, and we will be a decade away from 2015. This week, we are diving into the section entitled The Greatest Evil in Man is Not Knowing God. The greatest evil in man, the greatest mishap, tragedy, and failure that we could possibly have, apparently, is not knowing God and not knowing about God and denying such existence. And this has been discussed previously in this series, as well as the series that we did on this channel of the Hermetica, if I can get the lighting correct there, the lost wisdom of the pharaohs. And that was a fun series. I really enjoyed that one, and this one has been as well. So we find ourselves on book number 7, I believe, or 8. Let's find out and go back and check what we've gone through so far, ladies and gentlemen. So we began with Hermes Trismegistus, his first book, and that was number 1. Then we went into Pymander, number 2. Number 3 was the Holy Sermon. Number 4, the Key. Number 5 was that God is not manifest, and yet is most manifest. And that one was very interesting. Described a lot of the nature of God and how we can see it and not see it at the same time. In that number 6 there was that in God alone is good. That in God alone is good. And then number 7 was last week. So it looks like we're on to number 8 this week. Number 7 was his secret sermon in the Mount of Regeneration and his secret song, which is not in the title, but Profession of Silence. And so today we find ourselves on chapter or book number 8 in the Corpus Hermeticum, ladies and gentlemen, entitled The Greatest Evil in Man is Not Knowing God. And with that being said, before I ramble anymore, hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are, regardless of the weather, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you got yourself a beverage, hot or cold of your choice, and are comfortable, so we can dive in to more wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus, the Egyptian sage god Thoth. And this one's a shorter one, so it's only 9 verses compared to the last one. It took us 2 weeks, and it was 99 verses. So only about 90 less, ladies and gentlemen, but this should be fine. Let us begin. Book number 8 in the Corpus Hermeticum. The greatest evil in man is not knowing God. Number 1. Where are you carried, O men? Drunken with the wine of ignorance? When you see that you cannot hold it down, why do you vomit it up again? Stand, this is number 2. Stand and be sober. Look up again with the eyes of your heart. And if you cannot all do so, yet do so as many as you can. I find it interesting there that if he says, if you cannot all do so, yet do so as many as you can. So if all of you can't do it, then hopefully do this as many as you can possibly get to do it. This is very interesting. I'm wondering where he's going with this. Number 3, for the malice of ignorance surrounds all the earth and corrupts the soul, shut up in the body, not suffering it to arrive at the heavens of salvation. So this makes me think going back to the last one that we went through, his secret sermon on the Mount of Regeneration and Profession of Silence, talking about how we may, through understanding the 12 torments and the 10 powers, purify ourselves. But on verse number 31 there in book 7 in the Corpus Hermeticum, Hermes said, one torment, son, is ignorance. So the first torment is ignorance. And so this seems to be what he's talking about here. The first and most important of the 12, vices, or what other traditions refer to as, the 7 deadly sins. But as we've learned, they actually number in 12 and are quite different than we have been led to believe before. However, this is up to interpretation. Once again, I am no master. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, a master can act without doing anything and teach without a word. And so clearly, I need many more words, and I need to do something. So, for the malice of ignorance surrounds all the earth and corrupts the soul that is shut up in the body, not suffering it to arrive at the heavens of salvation. Ignorance. Number 4, suffer not yourselves to be carried with the great stream, but stem the tide, you that can lay hold of the heaven of safety, and make your full course towards it. Very fascinating. He references a stream there, a great stream, I'm guessing metaphorically. Suffer yourself not to be carried. So it is something to be suffered if we are not to be carried with the great stream. Suffer not yourselves to be carried with the great stream, but stem the tide, you that can lay hold of the heaven of safety and make your full course towards it. That is a very deep verse there. I'm wondering what the deeper meaning of that is. Let us continue. Number 5, seek still what may lead you by the hand and conduct you to the door of truth and knowledge, where the clear light is that which is pure from darkness, where there is not one drunken, but all are sober, and in their heart look up to him whose pleasure it is to be seen. Number 6, for he cannot be heard with ears, nor seen with eyes, nor expressed in words, but only in mind and in heart. That is a very good explanation of God, because so many times we've been told in the Hermetic teachings so far that we've researched is that it cannot be, you cannot see it with your physical eyes, but is the eye of the mind that can experience God, or Atum, as is described in the Egyptian philosophy. But this is very fascinating. You cannot even hear it with ears. So this goes back to that the sound of God is silence. And I love the comment I got that said, let me give you a little help. The sound of God is not silence. And this guy was so certain that it was exactly the opposite of what we have been discovering. But that's just fine. A little duality is important, and a little debate is more important as well, because if we lose the ability to have an open debate, then we will lose the ability to discover and come to true revelation, I believe. However, let us read 99 again. And learn this from me, Trismegistus says to his son Thoth. Above all other virtues, entertain silence. And impart unto no man, O son, the tradition of regeneration, which we did last 2 weeks. Maybe we shouldn't have, considering that warning by Trismegistus. However, O son, the tradition of regeneration, lest we be reputed as troublemakers. So maybe I'm a troublemaker. I apologize, O Thoth. But I believe that it is the time of your prophecy where you said there will come a time of older heaven that will birth human beings who are worthy of your wisdom. And I am hoping that we are those human beings. However, it could be debated that that is rather arrogant of me to think. However, for we both have now sufficiently meditated, he says, I in speaking and you in listening, and now you do intellectually know yourself and our Father, but above all other virtues, O son, taught, entertain silence. This is very fascinating. Let us go over to the Hermetica. I find it fitting in time, in memory of Giordano Bruno. Wise words. These are the last words of thrice great Hermes. Hermes Trismegistus, thrice greatest, 3 times the greatest. How do you even become 1 time the greatest? He says, this is one of my favorites, wise words, although written by my decaying hand, remain imperishable throughout time, imbued with the medicine of immortality by the All-Master. Be unseen and undiscovered by all those who will come and go, wandering the wastelands of life, and be hidden until an older heaven births human beings who are worthy of your wisdom. O Atum. Having sounded this prayer over the works of his hands, Hermes was received into the sanctuary of eternity. Into the sanctuary of eternity, ladies and gentlemen. This is very fascinating. Thoth was said to have revealed to the Egyptians all knowledge on astronomy, architecture, geometry, I'm guessing astrology, medicine, religion, and was believed by the ancient Greeks to be the architect of the pyramids, some of the temple complex. The Greeks, who were in awe of the knowledge and spirituality of the Egyptians, identified Thoth with their own god Hermes, the messenger of the gods, and the guider of souls in the realm of the dead. To distinguish the Egyptian Hermes from their own, they gave him this title, Trismegistus, meaning thrice greatest, to honor his sublime wisdom. The books attributed to him became collectively known as the Hermetica. And then we have the Corpus Hermeticum and other texts as well, the Kabbalion. However, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will go to the first chapter in the Hermetica and look at the very first words of Hermes there. Since we just looked at the last words, look at the first words, and he says this. And this is the most important thing about this whole teaching, and I want to get this into our minds every time we do an episode in this series, in these series about Hermetics, is that pure philosophy is a spiritual striving and arriving through a constant contemplation, a constant meditation, a constant rumination, a constant ponderation, pondering on it and wondering, and continuing to think it over, to attain true knowledge of Atum, the one God. Atum, the universe, reality, grand organized design, great spirit, the Tao, God, ladies and gentlemen. And so the lesson there is that the way we can get to this is through the constant contemplation of a pure philosophy and through a spiritual arriving, I would say. Now, the greatest evil in man is not knowing God. And so, number 5 there, seek still what may lead you by the hand. So we need some kind of a guide and conduct you to the door of truth and knowledge, where the clear light is that which is pure from darkness. Remember the piety that was talked about. When one is pious and seeks the truth, or this pure philosophy and spiritual knowledge, then maybe that is the guide that may lead us by the hand to the door of truth and knowledge, where the clear light is that which is pure from darkness. So there's always a light mentioned as well, whether it's a beam or a shining or some kind of light that I think has to do with a transfer of information or knowledge or understanding, a transfer of consciousness to those individuals that are available and ready or prepared to receive it, an enlightenment, so to speak, however, of an understanding and awareness, which is what Thoth and Tot and Asclepius are always looking for in these texts, this understanding. A wonderful comment yesterday that summed up the sentiment of seeking to know the things that are and the order of things. And, it's like, it was like it was put in the very first book, and it said, "Oh, my son," Hermes Trismegistus in his first book says, "Oh, my son, write this first book, both for humanity's sake and for piety towards God, a reverence and honor and appreciation. For there can be no religion," I'll add, "no spiritual pursuit, no, path or discipline of spiritual life more true or just than to simply seek to know the things that are." It doesn't add the word simply or seek, that is me, but it says, "For there can be no religion more true or just than to know the things that are, and to acknowledge thanks for all things to him that made them, which thing we shall not cease continually to do." So, in this moment, give thanks to reality, regardless of our situations, out of a thankfulness for being able to notice that it is this grand organized design, this wild creation, this thing that is God, that many cultures try to describe by many different names, but seems to have the most profound influence on humanity throughout all of history. That is why we are here today, seeking to achieve and maintain happiness through a greater awareness and understanding of ourselves, of our spiritual nature, and the nature of reality and God. So that through that awareness, ladies and gentlemen, we can have a higher quality of experience of life, not only for ourselves, but those around us. And so if we want to do that, let me stop rambling and we'll continue. Thank you for being here. I love and appreciate each and every one of you that spends time here with me and Hermes Trismegistus, or the Egyptian sage god Thoth. Tahat. So, number 6, for he cannot be heard with ears, nor seen with eyes, nor expressed in words, but only in mind and in heart. We see with the eyes of our mind. Number 7, but first you must tear to pieces and break through the garment that you wear, the web of ignorance, the foundation of all mischief, the shackles of corruption, the cloak of darkness, the living death, the corruptible corpse, the sepulchre carried about with us, the domestic thief. Wow. Wow. That is powerful. Which in what he loves us, hates us, envies us. But first you must tear to pieces and break through the garment that you wear, the web of ignorance, the foundation of all mischief, the shackles of corruption, the cloak of darkness, the living death, the corruptible corpse, and the sepulchre. Carried about with us, the domestic thief, which in what he loves us, hates us, envies us. Very fascinating sentiment. Number 8, such is the hurtful apparel with which you are now clothed, which draws and pulls you downward by its own self, lest looking upward, and seeing the beauty of truth and the good that is reposed therein, you would hate the wickedness of this garment and understand the traps and ambushes which it had laid for you. Number 9, the final verse. Therefore it labors to make good those things that seem and are by the senses judged and determined, and the things that are true it hides and veils in much matter, filling what it presents unto you with hateful pleasure, that you may neither hear what you should hear, nor see what you should see. Ladies and gentlemen, and that concludes the 8th book of the Corpus Hermeticum, entitled The Greatest Evil is Man. The greatest evil in man is not knowing God. And it talks of a drunken stupor there that we are in. It says, stand, be sober, at least if you cannot all do so, yet do as many as you can. For the malice of ignorance surrounds all the earth, and it corrupts the soul which is shut up in the body. And this mortal physical body, such hateful apparel, it says, with which we are now clothed, this draws and pulls us downward into this trap that has been described before on this channel. That, let's look at it again. Wherefore that they are ignorant and they go not in the way of piety. See, we referenced this on yesterday's video too, and last week, and the week before, and then this was from the reading 3 weeks ago. And so this is all coming together, ladies and gentlemen. But wherefore that they are ignorant, so this is the trap we are in. And this is apparently caused by the physical body, that such hurtful apparel, this, first we must break through the garment that we wear, this web of ignorance, the foundation of all mischief, the shackles of corruption. This being, wherefore that they are ignorant, and they go not in the way of piety, and dare call men fair and good, never seeing so much as in a dream what is good, and believing that the evil is the good, and being subsumed and bound by that, they by that means both use it insatiably and are afraid to be deprived of it. And therefore we strive by all possible means that we may not only have it, but also increase it. This hurtful apparel. And then what were the 12 torments? Let me go back here, try to find those again. And learn this from me, O son. Above all other virtues, entertain silence. Let's see. He replied, this tabernacle, O son, consists of the zodiacal cycle, and this consisting of 12 numbers is the idea of one to the deceiving of man. However, yet tell me further, this one thing, the ideas of one, how are the torments of darkness So this ignorance being the supreme torment, it seems, because with it, all of the others come into play in this web that we are trapped in. This web we are trapped in, therefore it labors to make good those things that seem and are by the senses judged and determined. However, you would hate the wickedness of this garment if we could see that we are actually in this trap, if we did not have the ignorance. I'm kind of cross-referencing between the last couple books or chapters that we've gone through and certain lines and phrases. I need to do some highlighting actually and put sticky notes and notes on the side and stuff. I'll start doing that soon so we can have a lot of good reference. But this ignorance that leads us into this trap that we think is good, and we strive by all possible means to actually have more of it, that we may not only have it, but increase it because we think that it is a good thing, but really it is the physical trap that we find ourselves in. As it says, never seeing so much as in a dream what is good. Wherefore they are ignorant and go not in the way of piety. So ignorance, the title of this being the greatest evil in man is not knowing God, which would be the ignorance. For the malice of ignorance surrounds all of the earth, he says. Suffer yourselves not to be carried with the great stream, but stem the tide that you can lay hold of heaven, hold of the heaven of safety, and make your full course towards it. And so this trap that we find ourselves caught in, temperance, injustice, and ignorance was cast out. So wait a minute. For the revelation of God has come to us, and when that came, all ignorance was cast out. Let me go back one page. Therefore rejoice, my son, henceforward being purged by the powers of God to the knowledge of the truth. They do not suddenly or easily depart from him that has obtained the mercy of God. And this consists both manner and the reason of regeneration. The manner and the reason of regeneration. Regeneration was how we get out of this trap, and out of the trap originally of ignorance. He replied, the 12 torments. One torment, O son, is ignorance. A second, sorrow. A third, temperance. A fourth, concupiscence. Fifth, injustice. Sixth, covetousness. Seventh, deceit. And eighth, envy. Ninth, fraud. 10th, wrath. 11th, rashness. And 12th, maliciousness. And he gives us an example of how we may depart these in the previous book or chapter that we read. And so, having done that, we are then given the secret song. Be opened unto heaven. Be opened, you heavens, you winds, stand still, and let the immortal circle of God receive these words. And he sings the praise of Atum. Oh, all the powers that are in me, praise the one and all. Sing together with my will, all you powers that are in me. So he's like empowering the 10 powers that cancels out these 12 traps, these 12 vices of the material realm, so that we may go beyond and transcend the trap that we find ourselves in, and that we may tear to pieces metaphorically, not physically. We don't want to harm ourselves, but we may break through, because we cannot hear with the ears or see with the eyes, nor expressed in words, but only in mind and in heart. So for those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, in other words, the ability through constant contemplation and a greater understanding and awareness that we can then see with our mind and our heart that which we were so long trying to see only with our eyes and our ears, ladies and gentlemen. Still, the most interesting line in that one to me was number 4, and it was, "Suffer not yourselves to be carried with the great stream, but stem the tide that you can lay hold of the heaven of safety and make your full course towards it." To me, this is saying, wake up. Understand that you are in this trap of the mortal physical realm, and to connect and have a union and a harmony with the divine, with which we, you and I, ladies and gentlemen, are a part of, and make our full course towards it, we must first stem the tide of this great stream that is pulling us along in the physical duality existence, and seek still what may lead us by the hand and conduct us to the door of truth and knowledge. Well, is this that tool? Is the wisdom of Dr. David R. Hawkins and the wisdom of the ages, of all the wonderful authors and poets and mystics and philosophers and sages of the ages, ladies and gentlemen, sage god Thoth, are these the tools that we should seek still what may lead us by the hand to the door, conducting us to the door of truth and knowledge, where the clear light is that which is pure from darkness, separate maybe? But then there is duality, so the light is dependent upon the darkness and a oneness. Very fascinating, where there is not one drunken, but all are sober and in their heart look up to him whose pleasure it is to be seen. This soberness and this drunkenness that is being talked about, I wonder if it is a metaphorical, as not for if talking about real drunkenness, but more of this ignorance that is the greatest evil of man, is to not know God. Where you are carried, the first verse says, O men, drunken with the wine, ready, metaphor, of ignorance. They're not drunken with wine, with the wine of ignorance, which, as we learned, was the first of the 12 torments, to be defeated by the 10 powers. How do we do that? Good is fulfilled by the access of truth, for by this means the truth accompanied with the good, together also with the life and the light. See, I think those are 4 of the 10 powers. I want to write these down in the future. But there are number 12, and under these many more, which through the prison of the body do force the inwardly placed man to suffer sensibly. So unfortunately, it is something that we have to deal with. However, if we can transcend it, and by knowing and going beyond the drunkenness of the quote-unquote wine of ignorance, and we can begin to see, when you see that you cannot hold this ignorance down, why? Again, look up again with the eyes of your heart, he says. And if you cannot all do so, at least do so as many as you can. They do not suddenly or easily depart from him that has obtained mercy of God. And in this consists both the manner and reason of regeneration. For the rest, O son, hold your peace and praise Atum in silence. And by that means, the mercy of God will not cease or be wanting in us. So we will not be without it. How do we do that? Hold your peace and praise Atum, or God, the universe, Tao, grand organized design, whatever you want to call it. Praise that in silence. And by that means, the mercy of the universe of Atum, of God, will not cease, and we will not be without it. Therefore, rejoice, ladies and gentlemen, Hermes Trismegistus says to his son Thoth, from henceforward being purged by the powers of Atum, of universe, of God, to the knowledge of the truth. For the revelation of God has come to us, and when that came, ignorance was cast out. And that is how. That is how, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's one of those things, like all spiritual study is it sounds really complicated and complex, and really it's simple. It is that we can finally go beyond the greatest torment or the greatest evil as described in Hermetics, and begin using our powers, the 10 powers of life and light and truth and will and all of the others to getting rid of the greatest evil, that is not knowing God. Powerful, ladies and gentlemen. When we can come to know God, we can get rid of the ignorance and no longer be drunk with the wine of ignorance, so that we may be we can be led by the hand and conducted to the door of truth and knowledge, where the clear light is that which is pure from darkness. And in their heart we look up to that whose pleasure it is to be seen. Fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. And therefore it labors to make good things that seem and are by the senses judged and determined, and the things that are true. It hides and veils in much matter, filling what it presents unto you, that you may neither hear what you should hear, nor see what we should see, if we are drunken with the wine of not wine, we're not talking about alcohol, but with the wine of ignorance, and denying God and the knowledge of God, or the existence of Atum, the one God. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that is a boom to the Corpus Hermeticum. It was a shorter one today, so I tried to expand my thoughts. If you got value, consider subscribing. Next week, we will be looking at book number 9, A Universal Sermon to Asclepius. And it's always fun when Trismegistus or Thoth, either one, is talking to Asclepius. It's always fun because they have a good back and forth. Asclepius is a very, I feel like we are Asclepius, ladies and gentlemen, or Thoth. We are like on this journey, and we are so fascinated with seeking to understand the knowledge of the things that are and their order and how they work, and so that we may come to a greater understanding of not only ourselves, but the nature of reality and the nature of God. And hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, through that awareness, seek to achieve and maintain happiness through a greater awareness and through enlightenment, a greater awareness and understanding of the nature of reality and ourselves, so that through that awareness we can increase the quality of our lives. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, there is no way to happiness or enlightenment, because when we can make it the activity that we bring to life, then we no longer have to go chasing after it and seeking out all the things we've been telling ourselves. Oh, when I get this much money, or when I discover this much knowledge, I'll be enlightened. It's like, no, when we can finally create that ability, that place within ourselves to bring it to life as an activity, then all of that is irrelevant, because we are there. And then hopefully the entire journey is wonderful. Once again, thank you so much. I love and appreciate each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, that spends time here with me. A1 and Bang Chief has been showing up a lot lately. Send a shout out to Guerrilla Press in the distance. We always wonder what happened to Guerrilla Press after they lost their home in a fire many months ago. And so we send our, our love and our good thoughts, prayers, if you want to call it that, out to Guerrilla Press and hope they are doing well and they're safe. As well as we send that to everyone. And hopefully, like we talked about yesterday, eventually we can be a part of the tide that raises all boats. We can be a part of the evolution of the consciousness of mankind and hopefully help this cycle on its way towards the next golden age, even though we got many thousands of years to go. But I'm an optimist, and I would like to think things are getting better faster than they ever have been before, even faster than the most optimistic of us can imagine. But once again, you have your perspective. And so you can change your thoughts and change your life because you'll find what you look for in life. This is how the world and the realm of duality and of mind and matter works, is that the world will be a mirror of what it is you are trying to see. So if you are negative and think that things are pessimistic, then that's what you'll find evidence for in your mirror. If you are optimistic, like we are here, we're trying to lift and increase the consciousness of humanity and create another golden age of enlightened men and women. And if that's what you're focused on, then that's what you see happening in the world around you. All right. Love you, ladies and gentlemen. I always appreciate you spending time here with me and Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus, and the wonderful authors and poets and mystics and philosophers and sages of the ages. I like that one. Be sure to expand the description. Check out my Etsy shop. That's below the video where it says more to the side there, and that will open and expand to a full description with links, as well as a link to C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. Get yourself the gift of health. All right. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, be the change you want to see. Be the example you want to set. No, 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 no.